Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and for this review we're looking at the Figma Terraformar figure from Terraformars. He's number 230 if you're looking him up, and he's a pretty big figure. I wasn't expecting him to be quite this large, so it's kind of impressive. Doesn't have a whole lot to look at, but he's still kind of an impressive figure, so if you're a fan of the show, I'm going to tell you right now, you might want to pick him up, but there are some things to discuss about him, so let's go ahead and get him off the stand and we'll take a closer look. This guy stands roughly just over 7, almost 7¼ inches tall, which makes him just about 18 centimeters. Of course, he's slightly hunched over now, and you may want to hunch him over even more when you pose him, so the height's going to vary depending on how you have his torso aligned. He is very large, though, and as you can see, he's kind of thick, so he's definitely bigger than your average Figma, so it's kind of cool. In terms of the sculpt work, I like it. I think the abdominal section looks really nice. The overall strange musculature, I think it looks pretty good. I don't have too many complaints about that. They did a pretty good job hiding it with the articulation, or hiding the articulation with it, I should say. And I like the head. I think it looks pretty good. Before we get into the figure anymore, though, let's talk about the accessories. He has his large club, which has some paintwork on it, kind of like a cel-shaded look, so that's okay. We have a whole bunch of hands. We have the 2 fist hands that come on him in the package. We have 2 gripping hands for the club. We have 2 flat palm hands, 2 jazz hands, 1 clenching hand, 1 pointing finger hand, and 1 other style, let's call it a style pose hand. And then lastly, we have the tool for posing the eyes, because the face can come off and the eyes can be articulated. They just have a little peg that you can rotate around and move the eyes. So it's pretty cool. Now, in terms of the figure itself and paintwork, I'm not sure if there's paintwork on it. It's really hard to tell. I feel like the torso might be painted a different color, but it might just be the sculpt playing a trick on me, so I'm not sure. It is worth noting that the back of the head is much darker than the face and the ear, so there's definitely some paintwork going on there. And of course, the eyes have the black dots painted on them. Otherwise, I can't really say that there's paintwork on it. Can't be sure. The antenna up here are, I think they're wires, but they don't really want to bend, and I'm afraid if I mess with them too much, they're going to break, so be aware of those. I don't know if they'll break or not, so just be extra careful. This piece is soft plastic, so it won't be a problem, and then his little butt antenna things are soft plastic, so those won't be a problem. In terms of articulation, the head on top of the neck is on a ball hinge, and then the neck itself is on a ball hinge, so you can move the neck forward and back really well. If you rotate that hinge, you'll be able to lean it side to side. Same thing with the head. It can look up and down as it is, and if you want to rotate it around, you can lean it side to side, so you can just play around with that joint. The shoulders are your standard typical Figma. There's a ball peg going into the torso, and then a ball hinge on the outside of that, so you can move the arm around like this, rotate it around. It will bump into the sculpt some, but you can get it all the way around, and then you have your hinge to bring the arm all the way up, and you get your bicep swivel where that hinge pegs into the arm, so it's very minimal. Luckily, you get more of a bicep swivel down here in the elbow, so it's pretty good. No real problems there. That's just your basic Figma hinge, and then you have your Figma ball hinge for the wrist, and all the hands obviously just pop off so they can rotate, and it'll rotate at the forearm, so plenty of range of motion for the wrists. Now for the torso, I'm not super sure what's going on here. I know this piece right here is connected between 2 joints. We have a ball hinge going down into here. I'm not sure what's going up. I think it's another ball hinge, but either way, you can lean him pretty far forward. No problems there. You can lean him back fairly far, so like I said, you can get him to stand up a little bit taller if you want to. And then, of course, you can rotate him all the way around. So the torso has plenty of articulation. You really won't have any trouble with any of that. And this middle piece here is a soft plastic, so it won't get in the way. Same thing for down here, soft plastic. We have our Figma hips, but instead of connecting to a 3-way ball peg like we normally have, we have a joint kind of like Play Arts, where we have a cylinder and the 2 hip pegs peg into that. So we have a ball hinge that pegs into there, which gives us our forward motion, which works really well. Goes all the way forward and looks good all the way around, so that's fantastic. Going back, it's not as good. There's a lot of gapping, but it's functional. And then using the ball hinge to go out to the side, you can almost do the splits, so that's pretty good. Then you also get your thigh swivel, just like you get your bicep swivel out of that ball hinge. For the knee, it's just a basic Figma hinge. Gives you really good range, and it doesn't look too bad. It gets a little bit disjointed looking in some poses because of how thick the thighs are, but it's not too bad. And it does seem a little bit loose, maybe because the joints aren't tight enough for these extra large molded parts. Figma's not used to having the big ones, so could be an issue there. But then for the ankles, we have our standard Figma hinge. It pegs into the calf and then into the foot, so you get a little bit of an ankle rocker, but it's not going to give you that much range due to the sculpt. Then you can bring the foot pretty far forward and all the way back, and you get a toe hinge, which is pretty functional. So all in all, this guy's a solid figure. He's not the most elaborate looking figure, so it's going to be probably mixed reactions from most people whether or not he's a good display piece. He's impressive in size and sculpt, but not in paint, which is how he's supposed to be. So I can't knock it for that. So I have to say it's a pretty good figure. Here's one thing: popping the face off to change the eyes is super risky because those antennae are up there, and the face can be pretty stiff sometimes. So be aware of that. But otherwise, I have to say I recommend it. It's a pretty cool figure. If you like the show especially, you're probably going to want to pick one up. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos every single day. We talk about action figures, custom figures, movies, TV shows, video games, unboxings, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you subscribe for all that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.